The ANS or Autonomic Nervous System Pharmacology involves hacking into the autonomic nervous system infrastructure in the body using certain drugs and obtaining necessary outcomes using it. The nervous system in our body has two parts, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is classified into two, the sensory and the motor divisions. The sensory division receives input into the nervous system and the motor division facilitates action by the nervous system. The motor division has two parts, the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system involves in mostly voluntary outputs such as movements of skeletal muscles, whereas the autonomic nervous system involves in mostly involuntary outputs such as increasing or decreasing heart rate, etc. The autonomic nervous system is again divided into two, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Let's visualize this in a different manner. So there is the central nervous system with the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system comprising of the nerves arising from the brain and the spinal cord. The nerves come under two divisions, the sensory and the motor divisions, and the motor division is divided into two, the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. A majority of the involuntary actions in the body are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system has two parts, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Most of the activities of the autonomic nervous system are controlled by the CNS, the area of paramount importance being the hypothalamus. The body is normally regulated by a balance in the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. A surge in the sympathetic actions will bring out a fight or flight response, whereas a surge in the parasympathetic action promotes a rest and digest response. Let's see the structure of the autonomic nervous system. To understand better the structure of autonomic nervous system, let's first understand the way the somatic nervous system is. The neurons of somatic nervous system arises from the CNS and ends in skeletal muscles. The neurotransmitter acetylcholine is released there and it binds to the nicotinic receptors named the NM receptors at the skeletal muscle end plate. The binding of acetylcholine with the NM receptor will cause the depolarization and impulse transmission. In contrast with the somatic nervous system, the autonomic nervous system contains two neurons in the signal transmission pathway. The basic layout will be like this. There will be the CNS and the effector organ connected by two neurons and a ganglia in between the neurons. Since there is a ganglia in between, we call the neuron before that the preganglionic fiber and the neuron after that the postganglionic fiber. Similar to the presence of acetylcholine and nicotinic receptors in the neuromuscular end plate, there is the production of acetylcholine by the preganglionic fiber and it binds to the nicotinic receptors in the ganglia. But here, it is not the NM receptor. Here the receptor is called the NN receptor and the binding of acetylcholine will cause depolarization and impulse transmission. This will be the same for both sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. The postganglionic fiber ends in the effector organ releasing a neurotransmitter which binds to the receptor, both dependent on the type of system involved. In the parasympathetic nervous system, the postganglionic fiber releases acetylcholine which binds to the muscarinic receptor in the effector organs. The preganglionic fiber is long and the postganglionic fiber is short, so the ganglia is closer to the organs. In sympathetic nervous system, the postganglionic fiber mostly releases norepinephrine, whose target is the alpha and beta receptors in the organs. The preganglionic fiber is short and the postganglionic fiber is long, thus the ganglia are located away from the organs. In certain neurons of the sympathetic nervous system, the postganglionic fiber releases acetylcholine, which binds to the muscarinic receptors. In case of the innervation into the adrenal medulla, the preganglionic fiber directly inserts into the adrenal medulla and releases acetylcholine binding to the NN receptor there. This will stimulate the adrenal medulla to release adrenaline into the circulation. There is no postganglionic fiber in this case. The nerves in the sympathetic nervous system are of thoracolumbar origin. That is, it originates from the thorax and the lumbar levels of the body. The nerves in the parasympathetic nervous system are of craniosacral origin. That is, it originates from the brain and from the sacral part of the body. The responses produced when the activation of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system are mostly in the opposite manner. The activation of sympathetic nervous system occurs in conditions of emergencies, and it produces a fight or flight response. The activation of parasympathetic nervous system occurs during calm and relaxed conditions, and it produces a rest and digest response. In sympathetic activation, there will be dilated pupil, increased heart rate, and relaxation of airways. It will stimulate glucose release by the liver to meet the higher energy demand. The saliva production will be reduced, and the activity of stomach and intestine will also be reduced. The secretion of epinephrine and norepinephrine occurs into the circulation. It relaxes the urinary bladder. In parasympathetic activation, there will be constricted pupil, the heart rate is reduced, and the airway is relaxed. The glucose release by the liver into the circulation is inhibited. The saliva production is stimulated, and the activity of stomach and intestine is promoted. The urinary bladder is contracted. The parasympathetic nervous system activation promotes the erection of the genitals, while the ejaculation is promoted by the sympathetic nervous system. The ANS pharmacology deals with techniques in which several drugs can be used to hack into the autonomic nervous system and obtain desirable outcomes. If you want me to create more videos like this, please hit the like and share button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.